Did you know there are 7,500 speaking engagements every single day? Today, I have guest expert Laurie-Ann Murabito sharing with us how you can get into the elusive speaking circuit to gain visibility and set yourself up as an industry expert. Not to mention, speaking engagements are a fantastic way of adding an additional revenue stream to your business and build your clientele. By the end of this video, you'll know who to pitch and what to say, the components of a high converting speech, and should you only focus on paid talks. Tune in now. If we haven't yet met, I'm Jessica Potts, and welcome to the Wednesday Wrap-Up, where we share advice and tips to help you launch and grow an online business. Now, if you haven't yet, please subscribe and press the bell to be notified when we release weekly videos. I have a special guest today, Laurie-Ann Murabito, and Laurie-Ann is a business mentor and speaking strategist. She's a reformed, painfully shy gal who works with motivated business owners to leverage speaking opportunities to get credibility, sell out their high-end programs, and monetize their expertise. Hi, and welcome back to the Wednesday Wrap-Up. I am so excited to have Laurie-Ann Murabito with us today. She is a business mentor and speaking strategist. And when I met Laurie-Ann, I was really excited because I was putting this series together of how, as business owners, we can create and diversify our revenue streams that come into our business. And when I started speaking to her, she's like, well, speaking engagements are not only great for bringing in revenue, but also for lead generation. So thank you so much, Laurie-Ann, for being on the show today.
Oh, I'm so excited to have this conversation.
And it's crazy because a lot of people I talk to would love to do speaking engagements, but they really don't know where to start or what to do. And so we're going to really cover all of that today. But before we get going, I really would love to hear how you went from working in corporate America and just taking that jump and that leap and owning your own business.
Well, probably like most of us, it was just that gut feeling. I'm tired of being here. This is sucking my soul. And I was meant for something bigger, better, greater. And you just have to answer that calling. So pretty seriously, on a whim, I wrote up a letter, flew to New Jersey to headquarters, and handed it to my boss. And just like that, it was right around the holiday season. And there I was like, okay, so now what do I do? Because I had no business skills and no business plan, just a passion and a desire to be out on my own.
I think that we all kind of walk that same road, right? We all have this passion and we want to help other people and make this impact and, creating these businesses. And it's so incredible, but we just learn as we go. And it's amazing what probably today versus when you first launched, isn't it?
Yes. If I could go back with the knowledge that I have now.
Right.
Yeah. It would be a little different.
But that's what I do now with my clients, So it's like, here, let me help you get over all those hurdles so you don't fall into those potholes that most common business owners fall into. So how did you get into speaking in general?
In my corporate job, I actually had to speak to surgeons and doctors about the equipment that I was selling. But then when I left corporate, just naturally people just turned to me and were like, oh, well, you've done some speaking, so why don't you do the speaking, like just at a networking event. Now, I wasn't very good. I mean, there was not like there was a warm up, and it just like my speech literally, like I remember this like it was yesterday, came to a screeching halt. Jessica, I'm talking about like, okay, I'm done now. And if you want to talk to me, I'll be in the back of the room. And that's when people came up to me and started asking me a little more questions about how do I work with people? Do I take on private clients? And at first I just thought, it was just a fluke. But then it happened again and again. And that was how I filled my client roster within 3 months, just by using speaking. And so I was like, this is like, I'm onto something here. This is a great form of marketing and getting out there.
I mean, it's so great, right? Because if you're picking the right speaking engagements, you are speaking directly to your target audience and you're able to connect with them and show them what a leader you are and how knowledgeable you are within your field. I don't think there's very few ways of being able to show up as a industry expert than being a speaker.
Oh, absolutely. And there's so many more benefits than just the lead generation and being the expert. It's building that know, like, and trust factor. People go to your website, they start following you on social media, they join your email list. I mean, there's like a list of things. If people aren't answering your phone calls, they're certainly going to come see you speak, especially if they keep hearing your name over and over and over again.
And what I found interesting is that you and I were talking about how many speaking engagements there are just every day. And do you want to share that huge number with our audience?
7,500 speaking opportunities every single day. And that number is just here in the US. So you divide that by 50 states. Granted, some states have more than others, depending on the time of the year, but that's on average, that's about 150 opportunities every single day. This means there's 150 tomorrow, and then the day after, and the day after. And what that means is that meeting planners are looking for you. Your ideal clients are gathering at meetings, at conferences, on virtual events, and they want to hear from you. They want to like soak in your knowledge. Let me buy your solution. It's the perfect storm.
So when your clients come to you, what is their biggest challenge? Are they trying to overcome challenges within having an engaging speech, or is it more on where do I even start?
It's across the board. Some people have never spoken before, so they don't even know how to break into this mystery world called speaking. Some people have done some speaking and they're just like, but my speech, my presentation, my keynote, it's not converting anybody. And then you get some people who are just like, I'm super shy, like, but I've got this calling to get up there and tell my story, to share my knowledge with other people. So it's really like across the board, but that's a really good question.
All right. So if someone's watching this and they're like, I definitely want to be doing speaking, especially as we are approaching a new year, what are some tips that you can give someone into breaking into the elusive speaking world?
Okay, one, I want you to claim the title. So that means like all of your social media bios, your LinkedIn, on your website, I want to see the word speaker. So now I know that you're serious about speaking. You're a professional, not just, well, okay, I guess I'll do this. So that's number one. Number two is to break into this. Look at where you're already attending meetings and some sort of like professional trade groups, associations, maybe you belong to a chamber or some sort of a networking group. Find out who's in charge of the education and then just ask this very simple question. What's the process for finding speakers? That's it. And they'll tell you like, oh, well, we book, like 6 months in advance, or we book month to month. We're just looking for interesting topics. Do you know anybody? And that's when you can say, yes, myself. I have a talk on XYZ. You don't have to give them a title. Do you think that would be of interest to this particular audience, to this crowd? And if you're already a member of this association or this, like a chamber group, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, let's bring you in. When's good for you to speak? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people love to say like, yeah, but what if they give me a date? Well, that's okay. If you're not ready, like let's say they say something that's like next week, you can always say, I'm sorry, I'm booked, but how about we look at the following month? And now it's that easy to get a date on the calendar.
And then you have to put your entire, talk together. And do you have any tips when it comes to putting a good, impactful, high converting talk together?
Absolutely. So it's going to depend on how long you're speaking for. So let's say you're speaking for about 30 minutes. So you're going to have an intro, a tiny little section that basically is like, here's how I got here. So it just lets you know that like it's your way of relating and engaging with the audience to say like, hey, like I'm just an ordinary person. And then you're going to have like 2 tips that you will dive into pretty deeply. Then you'll have a Q&A section, and then you close. Now, notice I said the Q&A section is before the close. Never, ever, ever end on a Q&A. And that always surprises people. But you don't want to end on a Q&A, because what if the last question is something very obscure and you don't have the best answer for it? It could just be an opinion. But your summary, your close for your speech should be you and your information, and not answering somebody else's question.
Okay, so I love this. So we have the opening, you have to dive into 2 tips, and then you have a Q&A, or excuse me, you have your opening, and then you talk about where you are now, how you got to where you were, and then your 2 tips you dive into, and then a Q&A, and then you make sure that you summarize and close at the end to bring everybody back full circle.
Yes, give them that. And in your summary, your close, that's where you're going to have your call to action, whether that's to download your PDF, like sign up for a call with you. Maybe you have some books or some products that you're selling in the back of the room, so you want to talk about those and invite people to look at them.
Exactly. And my other thing is if you're there, try to get people on your email list as much as you possibly can, even if it's bringing an iPad in and having them sign up right then and there.
Absolutely. It's amazing. And you can just a lot of people still do carry around business cards, and it can just be like, hey, I'm going to raffle off a free call with myself. So then you just get everybody's business cards. Everybody loves to win a raffle. And that's when, then you can share what that raffle is, what that call is going to be like. And if you weren't lucky enough to win this, you could still sign up for one.
Exactly. And then you can email with your link for your schedule, and therefore they have no reason. It makes it so simple and easy to sign up for a call with you.
It does. And then at the end, you just ask people like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I do. If you know of any other groups or, like meetings or conferences that are coming to the area that you think my talk would be a great fit for, please, I would love a warm introduction.
Love it. And that's so easy, and people tend to neglect asking that simple question that can really open the door into endless possibilities of talks.
Absolutely.
Now, there was this, we talk about paid versus non-paid talks where, they're both a win-win. Can you describe the difference for us?
Yeah. So they are both a win-win, but never put down a free talk, because you just never know what's going to happen. So I call getting paid for a speech, somebody is paying me to be there and present. So I'm getting paid on the front end. But there are a lot of opportunities that are out there where you're not going to be paid. But don't worry, because you can get paid much more on the back end through other people like referring you to another paid speech, people signing on as new clients, the lead generation, whatever products and services that you might be selling in the back of the room. I always just encourage people, don't ever pass up an unpaid opportunity, because you just never know where that's going to lead to. And, you and I were like chatting earlier, because I have this belief that speaking is the gift that keeps on giving. And I can tell you story after story where, yes, I spoke for free the first time, but then it was like, it led to this paid engagement, another paid opportunity, book sales. It's like the list is endless.
And also I see so many business owners really questioning, how do I get consistent lead generation? How do I create this visibility? And doing these speaking engagements, be it non-paid, is a great way of, one, practicing, right? And two, creating that visibility. I walked into an event last night and the girl was like, I know you from somewhere, because I go to so many events throughout Atlanta and I talk, that she had already heard about me. And that is what we all really want.
Yes, yes. You want people, one, to have heard about you and have other people talking about you as well. I was literally just talking about that this morning.
All right. So when it comes to speaking, now I'm going to use myself as an example. I am very much ADD. So I'm over here talking to you and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a squirrel. There's a squirrel over here. There's something shiny. And I get off subject and I'm just rambling at that point. So what are there any tips that you could possibly give us in order to have a consistent talk that you're able to present and get through without, and it being clear and concise where your audience understands where you're going?
Yes, use slides, PowerPoint, Keynote. Just use the slides so that those slides are to help you stay on task. Sure, you might veer off, but just, like label the elephant in the room, just like, okay, I got off on a tangent, back on task. And the audience is going to appreciate that because, one, it's kind of funny, and they're going to be like, oh, she's just like me. I do that all the time too. So slides are a great way to just stay on point.
Okay, so if there's not slides, do you have any other tips? Like even are cards out? Like if I
you
have
can
no
use
cards?
cards. You can use cards. You can, like bring in your own, like print out some paper on paper, like in large font. And if you put your pages down like on a desk that's sitting in front of you, or even on a small table, nobody's going to even know that you're glancing down at this piece of paper every once in a while. Put a glass of water there, ask the audience a question, go for the glass, you're looking down at your sheets so that oh, I know what my next story is. Take a little sip of water.
See, I love that. Those little things you don't think about. I was at a comedy show. It was Amy Schumer, and I noticed she had an iPad that she was going through, to stay on task. So even it doesn't matter how celebrity you are and how much you're getting paid, it's okay to have those cheat sheets.
That's right. And and iPads and technology, it's so easy.
Exactly. Okay, so is there anything else that you can share with our audience on breaking into those speaking engagements and, any tips on even negotiation tips if you are going for paid gigs?
Oh, geez, we could be here for hours with all of these tips now. So one of the biggest tips that I would give you is to videotape as much as you can and get photography, really good photography. And so when you're getting good photography, I recommend that you use a wireless handheld microphone versus just a little lavalier that's on here. If you've got a handheld microphone that you're holding, those pictures, you are definitely the speaker in the front of the room, not just by chance, because sometimes you might not be able to see the microphone. So get really good quality photography, which with today's technology and our iPhones, or actually, I just say iPhones, but with our phones, I mean, like the technology is amazing and you'll get some high quality images. So you want you speaking in front of people. So I want to see other people as well. So those pictures are going to tell a story. And so if I'm like a meeting planner and I'm looking at your web page that has all of your speaking information, and I see lots of different pictures of you speaking in different outfits, then I'm going to know this isn't just a one-time thing.
All right, so don't go in the bathroom and change your outfit 15 times and like pull a share. You could do a share.
Yeah. Yeah, just keep taking pictures with every, and you just bring a friend. Bring a friend with you to one of your events and just say, hey, here's my iPad or here's my phone, and just ask them I just need you to take pictures. Or you can even get really good photographers and videographers like wedding planners, not wedding planners, but wedding photographers. I mean, during the week, they're not really doing anything. So you can get really good video and photography for some pretty low costs.
And when it comes to having a reel, is that something that you really should do down the road?
Yeah, eventually, but I wouldn't make it like, oh my God, I don't have a reel, so that's why I can't break into speaking. You just start small. You just start
Use that as
small.
an excuse.
Yeah, don't use it as an excuse. I mean, just keep putting little itty bitty clips like on YouTube, and eventually it's going to be like, wow, this woman's got like 30 different clips of her speaking. Obviously, it's not her first time.
Okay.
And
And
that's
then
all the meeting planner wants to know, is that when you're speaking, that you're not going to get up there and freeze in front of their audience. So think of like, that's why I want really good pictures and really good video of you actually in front of an audience.
that's I didn't even think about that. That's such a great tip. And it doesn't matter how big or small the audience is. So even if you are doing a talk at your local, chamber of commerce, as
Mhm.
long as you can see that there are individuals in the audience, then that's a win-win.
That's a huge win.
Yes. Well, Laurie-Ann, this is amazing and wonderful. And, this whole idea of doing the series was to help people be able to diversify their income, right? And not just really rely on bringing clients in. And I love the idea of doing speaking engagements because, like we said earlier, not only can you, create this revenue stream, but you can also have this as lead generation and visibility. And that's probably the biggest struggle that I see and I talk to with most business owners. And so if someone wants to find you online, how can they get in touch with you?
My website is speakandstandout.com. I have a lovely directory of places to speak, which would just kind of like to give you some ideas of different places that are looking for speakers in a number of different industries. And you can grab that at speakandstandout.com/gift, GIFT. And I also have a wonderful Facebook group called Entrepreneurs Making an Impact.
She has an amazing Facebook group. I will put all of the links into the description, and so that you can grab her guide on where to start speaking. And that way we have no excuses now and not pitching ourselves. And I think, it's like you made such a good point where you just ask and you'd be surprised because everybody's always looking for content. And it's just not also speaking, but also like, podcast or any type of even YouTube channels, right?
Absolutely.
And I heard this one time, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. People are always like, as a YouTube channel, I'm always looking for valuable content that I can give my audience. And so if it aligns with my target audience, it's a win-win. So I always want people to pitch me.
Yes. So keep that in mind, like your audience. I mean, you just said it. I'm looking for people to pitch me. And that's exactly how meeting planners, conference organizers, they feel the exact same way.
Exactly. So you're only holding yourself back if you are not out there talking yourself up and blowing your own horn, right?
Absolutely.
This has been such an amazing, amazing time. Thank you, Laurie-Ann. I really appreciate you being here today.
This has been a pleasure for me too. Thanks.
Thanks to everybody for showing up, and we will see you guys next Wednesday.